Well, this little cub has decided enough playtime and headed back to Mom's safety. Yet Mom doesn't seem interested at all. Barely acknowledged that little cub. There's a little bit of movements. And here comes some more. Oh, they are just the coolest little things, and they are really in the most playful spirits with one another. They haven't stopped since the moment we got here. Oh. When you're that short, yes, any little rustle in the grass may scare you. Earlier, one of the bigger cubs, the one that we could just see on the right of your screen there, was sneaking up on one of these smaller ones, and the smaller one looked over its shoulder and got the fright of its life and just started skidding on the spot. It was trying to run so quickly it wasn't even moving. Magic. There have been a few playing in like a kind of treehouse. There, one came just out of that kind of cave, you could say. And, I mean, look at that tiny cub standing up to a cub twice the size of it, fearless. Not even slightly concerned. You wonder what would happen if that bigger cub landed on it, but honestly the cub's not too concerned. And, oh, now it's having second thoughts. There's lots of this that's happening. We see so much slapping of one another's faces. They all kind of go up to one another, whether it's cubs from the same litter, older ones, younger ones, you name it. They just give one another a good slap on the head. That's usually, it's about a 2 or 3 round bout, a few shots each, and then they kind of go off and do their own thing. All the other cubs are now also kind of streaming into this area, and I think they're all getting excited to possibly have one more feed before that. The larger cubs, their bellies are very full, and that's because they'll be feeding on meat already. The other ones, I'm not sure, the 6 smaller ones are already and sometimes fall out. Jerry was lucky enough to see one come plummeting out of the height of that tree. Hello to H. Macy, and good to have you with us. You wondering, how does it work with male lion? When will they get pushed out, or will they move off alone? Usually what tends to happen is their fathers will kind of push them out, and then they'll move into the next territory where they'll meet another big set of probably older males, and they'll keep moving for about 3 or 4 years, possibly as a coalition of males. There's quite a few boys here, so they'll be able to band up and make a team, and then possibly become dominant when they're only about 5 to 7 years of age. But it all depends on how much competition they have around them. So these guys are still here for at least another 2 years, 2.5 years, I would say, and we're going to get them, hopefully, to see them turn into beautiful big male lions and follow their path wherever it goes. From here, we'll be able to keep track of where they are, just like we keep track of the young male leopards that move out of their home ranges in the Sabi Sands. And this pride has certainly been a joy to get to know so far. 4 lioness, 13 cubs. Too good to be true, and it's all right on our doorstep. It's literally 10 minutes from camp, where these guys like to camp. In the back of my mind, they're going to become hard gone, and there's not so much food around. They're going to have to move big distances to feed all these mouths. And this is all such good practice, like I said earlier. It seems like good play, of course that it is. But all of these things that they are practicing now are very useful. Not only hunting techniques, but also fighting techniques. It must be said that lions do fight with one another, with other prides. Lioness will compete with other lioness for their territories. Males with other big males. And as you can see, they're getting a good grip of... I mean, how fascinating is it that those tiny, tiny little cubs stand up to their older cousins? Very little brave. We've just got a question through saying how are lions similar to house cats? And your name is SME. Good to have you with us. I guess they're very similar in the sense that they look the same. They're just far, far bigger. Obviously, the color of their coats is different, but they are, in essence, just a big version of a house cat. One of their biggest differences, though, is that they live communally. And most cats around the world are solitary. It's rare for especially female cats to join forces, yet in the lion kingdom it is so important. It's a huge part of their life. It's very uncommon to find single lioness, so they live in a pride structure, and it's probably your biggest difference between a house cat and a lion. Other than that, they like catching things. Anything fluffy and furry getting dragged past them will induce a chase. And of course they can roar very loudly, so that would be another big difference. House cats can't roar like lions. Well, we're going to say goodbye to these lion cubs. We need to start getting out of the reserve, but it's just too good to be true. I think we've finished off on a high note there. And like I said, we need to head back on up the hill to be out of the park in regulation times. But the good news is the safari is not over to you. You are going back to Byron with Mvula.